once we've gotten the correct template showing up, we won't ever have to mess with that again. So you do File, New, and I want to use Campus C because I want a nice big sheet of paper to work with. So I'll double click on that, and it opens up the menu to fill in our title block. So we type in our name. Actually, we type in our project, which is Train Engine. I recommend putting engine on it so we don't confuse it with the train car that we're going to be doing later on. We do your name, and then we do your period. And this is going to be figure number 1. And you hit OK. Go ahead and have it fill the screen. So there it is, and that filled in the information into our title block. So the next thing we're going to do is put in our exploded view of the train. So I'm over here, click on Base, and find my exploded view, which was my presentation file. So I don't want an assembly file, I want a presentation file. There's my presentation file. I hit open, and there it is. But I don't want a head-on view. That really doesn't show me very much. I want to do, I think I want to do isometric top right. That does a pretty good job. But it's sort of small, so I'm going to go over here and change my scale to 2:1, just to make it a little bigger. No, 2:1. And if that's too big, you know, do 1.5:1 or something like that. And I'm going to make it shaded so that it colors it in. And I think that looks pretty good. And so I'm going to click. And then I'm going to hit escape. Now, if you notice, you'll see these little tails right here. That's because when I did this particular presentation view, presentation view, I had showed trails for my explosion. The one I showed you in the video, I turned that off. You can now see why I turned it off. Let's say you forgot to do one of those little things that I just did. Do you see how I can see those red dotted lines? Double click, reopens that menu. You can readjust your size or your look or your shape or anything of that particular nature. But I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to leave it be. If you don't like where it is, you just simply click. You can't click on the part, move it, but you can click on the red lines, and that'll move it to where you want it to go. Okay, we have 2 things we have to put on this. We have to do balloons to identify our parts, and we have to do a bomb, which is also referred to as our parts list. So BOM stands for Bill of Material, and so you'll sometimes see it referred to as that. We go over here to Annotate, Parts List. And I need to pick what part list I want to do. I want to do it for the file we're working with. So I selected that, and I hit OK, and then I decide where I want to put it, and right there looks like a pretty good spot. And I want to make it just a smidge bigger, so I'm going to click on the green dot and make it a little bit bigger, better use of space. Now, my parts list, I followed my directions and named my files with nice names that made sense. So a train body is a train body is a train body. So I don't need a description. Now, if you did not follow directions and you have part 1, part 2, part 3, you need to go over here to description, and you're going to actually need to tell what it is. How you edit it is you go over here to the parts list in your browser, double click, and if you need to put in a description, you just type it in. Okay? If you do not need a description, you are going to go over here, click on column chooser, description, remove, and hit OK. And there you go. All right. Last and final thing before this sheet is ready to print is I am going to do my balloons. So I click on the picture of the balloon. I'm going to zoom in, and you click once, pull off. Do not do 90 and do not do 0 degrees, but pull off at an angle, click, and then another angle. Now the second one you can do, I like to actually make that one horizontal and then double click. One click locks the point and double click cuts your wire. If you just click once, it'll keep moving. And you do this for each one of your parts. Now if you go over here, I didn't mean to do that. I hit escape. If I click on this right here, I can take that green dot and move it a little bit so that you can actually see the arrow as opposed to having it buried in the black of there. And you will need to do this for all 9 parts. So you don't, the ones that you have multiples of, you don't need to identify every one. You just need to identify one of every type. So your finished drawing should have your, that was interesting, don't know what I just did right there. Your finished drawing should have 9 bubbles on it. And that is your first. Make sure, do a stop, take a look, make sure the picture is nicely squared in there. That seems a little cramped in the space, so I'm going to go back over here to place views. And get my red line, double click, and I'm going to do 1.5 to 1. That looks just a little better fit. And that's a cosmetic. It's really sort of your own personal opinion, but I thought the other one looked just a little too cramped on the paper. Once you're sure it looks good, you will do a file and save. And I'm calling, we're just going to leave this as, I'm going to call it the engine exploded view. And there it is. And it is now ready to